doctor, Army veteran, American hero, ladies and gentlemen, the next congressman from the 7th Congressional District, Mr. Mark Greene.
Well, thanks, God. Are y'all pumped to see Trump? Who's here to keep America great? Amen. Well, in 2013, the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. passed or wrote 80,000 pages of regulations. 80,000 pages. One of the president's top priorities was to cut those regulations. And since they've been in office, they've cut 9 regulations for every one that's been written. President Trump's agenda is winning. He is winning. The president led the fight to cut taxes, the largest corporate tax in the world, and now the businesses have responded. Bonuses are happening, wages are growing. With President Trump, we're all winning. And by the way, how does this sound? How does this sound? A strict, original intent, Constitution-believing Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. With President Donald Trump, the nation is winning. And now, possibilities for peace on the Korean Peninsula. With Donald Trump, the world is winning. Well, there's more to be done, and I hope to get to Congress to help him out. I'm running for the 7th Congressional District. It's the seat that Marsha is vacating as she runs for the U.S. Senate. And guess what? We've got to get Marsha Blackburn in the U.S. Senate. Marsha has been a conservative fighter in Congress, standing up for teachers, veterans, law enforcement, or small businesses, and fighting for the rights of the unborn. In the U.S. Senate, she will continue to fight for the president's agenda. You can count on it. But we also need to send a constitutional conservative to fill her seat. And I'm the only Republican running, proud to say. And if you're in the 7th Congressional District, I'd love your vote. You might recall last year we were here, and just after the rally, it was announced that President Trump had nominated me to be the Secretary of the Army. And boy, did the fake news go crazy. They said I was anti-Latino, despite the fact that Latinos for Tennessee had named me the Legislator of the Year. They said I was anti-Muslim, but all I ever said was we don't need anyone teaching their faith to our students in schools. They misquoted me left and right, but they got one thing right. They said Mark Greene believes in a creator, and I do. They got that right. When the antiquated rules of the U.S. Senate allowed Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer to block my vote, I decided I'd step aside. Why would we have the United States Army waiting forever for a secretary? But it gave me another year in the state of Tennessee Senate, and it's been a great year. This year, we passed legislation allowing our off-duty law enforcement to serve as SROs in our schools, protecting our students. After all, guns don't kill people, criminals kill people. And I led the fight and passed anti-sanctuary city legislation that's the strongest in the nation. And because you spoke up, the governor didn't veto it. And we did all of this while we were standing for our Second Amendment, our First Amendment, fighting for veterans, fighting for teachers, and standing up for the unborn. Now it's time for me to go to Washington. As a physician, I understand health care is about a patient and a doctor, and the government has no place in it. As a businessman, I get that these regulations are a burden to our economy. As a combat veteran, the president needs help in Congress from someone who understands what it's like to dodge bullets and to serve soldiers in combat, and who will fight in the halls of Congress to make sure that America's sons and daughters go to war the best they can be trained, with the best equipment and the best leadership to win our nation's wars. As a patient at our VA, I understand its shortcomings. I have held soldiers in my hands bleeding on the battlefield. No one will care more for them than I can promise you that. And as a Tennessee state senator, I've worked with my colleagues to balance our budget every single year, ensuring that Tennessee remains the lowest state with per capita debt in the nation. We need someone in Congress who knows how to balance the budget, don't you think? It is an honor to be here with you tonight. We must keep the House in the control of the Republican Party. We must send Marsha Blackburn to the U.S. Senate, and we must re-elect Donald Trump in 2020. With President Trump, we all win. Thank you. God bless you guys. God bless this great state, and God bless America.
Senator Greene talked about the wonderful job that our state legislature is doing, and I want to take a chance to introduce them. If you're in the Tennessee state legislature and you're over here, would you please stand up and take a bow for keeping our state the best managed and the lowest taxed in the nation? Tennessee's doing it right. While we have some wonderful legislators that serve us in Nashville, we also have some wonderful congressmen that are fighting the brave fight in Washington. None better than our friend, Mr. Scott DesJarlais from the 4th Congressional District of Tennessee. Let's give him a big welcome as he comes on stage.
Hey, thank you so much. Great to see you all here tonight. Just talked to the president here about a half hour ago, and he's really excited to come and see all you guys. It's no accident that this is his 3rd trip to Tennessee and to Nashville here, and it's because Trump loves Tennessee, and I know Tennessee loves Trump, right? It's just amazing to think back that we're all here about a year ago in March. How many of you guys were here last March? Well, thank you for standing in the cold and standing in the long lines. We know that that was a slog getting in here today. The skies have cleared. It's not out there now, but the president really appreciates that you guys come out here to see him. It really means a lot to him, so thank you. Everyone have a good Memorial Day? This is a big, loud arena, and we want it to be big and loud tonight. But let's do something here. Let's make it really quiet, and it's a day after Memorial Day. Let's have a moment of silence for all those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Will you all join me? Take off your caps, and let's have a moment of silence. All right, thank you for that. Thank you. Now, how many veterans do we have in here tonight? How many servicemen and women do we have in here tonight? Okay. Now let me ask you to do just the opposite. Let's make some noise for these people. Let's see how loud we can get it in here. Let's make some noise. And all of our fine police officers here, let's make some noise for them and our first responders. I think the president's going to love you guys tonight. That's awesome. Thank you. That is awesome. But think of what he's been through over the past year. This has been the most biased, unprecedented media coverage probably any presidency's ever seen. But we all know different, don't we? You know, the one question you're always supposed to ask yourself is, am I better off or worse off than I was a year ago? Are you better off? Yeah. Blue waved my ass. That didn't happen. I mean, the economy is setting records. The stock market's at all-time high. You all have more money in your paychecks. We passed tax relief. You're seeing more money in your paychecks, right? The jobless rate's down, unemployment's down, consumer confidence is up. President Trump, he's one to deliver on his promises. He says he was going to build the country back up. We're going to bring manufacturing back. We're going to bring businesses back. You know, we're going to be prosperous again. Well, we're seeing that happen. We're seeing a president who keeps his promises. And regulatory burdens. We wanted to get rid of the regulations that stifle business, make it hard to do businesses in this country. How many of y'all are readers? Anybody like to read? Okay, if you wanted to read the book of regulations for the U.S., it would have taken you about 3.5 years before President Trump took office. Now it only takes about 2 years and 8 months. So we're making progress. He's doing a great job. Remember, the president said he was going to destroy ISIS. Do you hear much about ISIS anymore? It's hard for those leaders to recruit anybody, and it's even harder for them to find a place to hide. The president has cleared them out of Iraq and Syria, and he has kept his promise, and we're much safer because of it. And what about our military? Our military was struggling after the last administration and their policies. We had a readiness shortfall. Our planes wouldn't fly. Only a third of our troops were ready to fight tonight. Now, don't get me wrong, they would have fought anyway, but it would have been at much higher risk. Well, we just passed the National Defense Authorization, plussing up the spending, giving our military what they need to get our readiness back, and what a great time to do it with all the conflicts we have around the world with China and Russia and North Korea and Iran. And talk about a diplomat. They question President Trump's ability to deal with foreign policy. I think he needs a Nobel Peace Prize. What do you all think? Peace through strength. Peace through strength. He's doing it. He's doing amazing things. And I just tell you, it's so exciting to have him coming in here tonight. What about the wall? Do we need to build the wall? The only promises he's not keeping is because the Senate isn't getting it done or all the obstruction. So we're going to build a wall. We're going to fix immigration. We're going to do all the things that he's promised. Now, yeah, I'm open for suggestions. Let's hear them. Yeah, I mean, President's going to answer all these questions for us tonight, but I know we got a lot of good speakers coming tonight. It looks like, are there any Marsha Blackburn fans out here tonight? I've known Marsha a long time. We need to get that lady elected to the Senate. She will do a great job. For all of you that don't like a state income tax, Tennessee does not have a state income tax. Marsha Blackburn fought for that, and she's a big reason why we don't have it. How about anybody who needs rural broadband? Is anyone suffering on rural broadband and internet? Marsha Blackburn's a champion on that too. So I could sit up and say all kinds of good things about Marsha, and I should because she deserves them all, but we need to get out, get her elected to Senate. Now, before I stop, there's a gentleman coming up to speak after me who I have so much admiration and respect for, and that's our congressman from East Tennessee, 2nd District, Jimmy Duncan. He's retiring this year. And his father has been in Congress since 1964-65, and Jimmy's been there since 1988, and he has been such a mentor and such a guide for conservative values. If you like Donald Trump, you're going to like Jimmy Duncan, and I know Donald Trump likes Jimmy Duncan a lot. So I'm going to let Jimmy come up here and address you guys, but we're going to miss him. He's been around a long time, and I hope you'll give him a big warm welcome, and thank you for allowing me to have some of your time. Appreciate you being here.
Well, Scott, thank you very much. What a great man Scott DesJarlais is, and he's doing a great job in the Congress. Let's give him another big round of applause. You look like such a beautiful crowd of deplorables to me, and I'm honored to be here with you. This doesn't look like very much like a Nancy Pelosi crowd tonight. About 6 months ago, Kellyanne Conway invited me to come down and have lunch with her at the White House, and I knew she had worked with a lot of members of Congress, and I asked her who had impressed her the most. The first name she mentioned was Marsha Blackburn. She said, "We need a Spitfire like her in the U.S. Senate." And all of you who believe we need a Spitfire in the U.S. Senate, let's hear it. Scott told you I've served in the Congress a long time, and Marsha's been there with me the biggest part of that time, and I can tell you she will make you proud when she is our United States Senator. Let me also say to you tonight, this looks like a Donald Trump crowd. And he is going to shock the national media when he gets reelected in 2020, I can tell you that. You know, I'll tell you a little bit. My grandfather in Scott County, Tennessee, my grandparents had 10 kids in an outhouse, not much more. They never had a car. They never went on a vacation. They had almost no money. But my grandfather told me one time, he said, you know, you could make it to heaven if you were not a Presbyterian and a Republican, but you had a leg up if you were. And he pastored his own little Presbyterian church where a big crowd was 25 or 30 people, more typical of 15 or 20. But he was proud that he didn't miss a Sunday for 63 years. And I was proud of my grandfather. And so I wrote a column for the Washington Times a little over 6 years ago, and I said the biggest lie in American politics is that the Republican Party is the party of the rich or the wealthy. We always heard that in every election. But Donald Trump proved that that was not true. And you look like a crowd that there are not been too many limousine liberals here tonight, I don't believe. But Nancy Pelosi, when I mentioned her a while ago, you know, she said to give people an average tax cut of $1,700 a year was crumbs. Well, I can tell you, to most people that I represent, $1,700 is not crumbs, and a lot of people got bigger cuts than that. And many millions now have gotten $1,000 or more in bonuses. They may be crumbs in the liberal, elitist, wealthy district she represents in San Francisco, but to most people in Tennessee, that's a pretty great deal. Scott mentioned the wall. You know, the Democrats want to let in all the illegals. They want all the illegals to vote that can possibly get into this country. But you know, I believe in a pretty old-fashioned idea. I think the only people who should be allowed to vote in this country are American citizens. This nation has allowed many millions into this country over the last 40 or 50 years. No other nation has come close. But do you know, almost half the people of the world have to get by on less than $4 a day. We are blessed beyond belief to live in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of this world. But we couldn't keep it as the great country that it's been if we simply opened our borders and allowed hundreds of millions of people to come here within the next 2 or 3 years. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. And we believe in our country. And finally, let me say this. I'm one of the 19%, only 19% of the present Congress have ever served in the U.S. military. And I'm one of those 19%. And in fact, I had my basic training at Fort Campbell, not too far from here, many, many years ago. And there were some parts of that I didn't really enjoy, I'll have to admit, but I am pleased that proud that I had the opportunity to serve. And nobody can respect our military more than I do. But I will tell you this, though. I said a long time ago that we should not try to be the policemen of the world. We should stop spending trillions and trillions of dollars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We need to bring our troops home. I agree with Donald Trump when he said that we're long past the time when we need to start putting our own people and our own country first once again. Let's hear it. America first. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
There it is. We could break into some chants in a little bit. Y'all save it. You know, when President Trump started this odyssey to become president, the one thing that everybody kept remarking is what a wonderful family man he was. The Trump family has been together through thick and thin during this last year and a half. I think everybody would agree that every now and then the media takes some unfair shots on his family. Absolutely. But we are very fortunate tonight to have the better half of Eric Trump and a working mom, Miss Laura Trump.
Nashville! I am so proud to introduce myself as the daughter-in-law of our president, Donald J. Trump. What do you think? How is our president doing right now, guys? You know what? Despite the Democrats, despite the Hollywood elites, despite the media, Donald Trump is doing incredible things every single day for this country. I am so excited to be here with you all today. And let me tell you something else. You know, if you turn on the television to the wrong station, or maybe you open up the wrong newspaper, there's a lot they aren't telling you that's going on in this country. They aren't telling you about the 3 million new jobs created since Donald Trump took office. They conveniently leave out a 17-year low in unemployment and an all-time low in Hispanic and African American unemployment in this country right now. How about this? There are 2.5 million fewer people on food stamps right now than the day Donald Trump took office. And although every president before him promised to do it, the media won't give him enough credit for the fact that this is the first president to finally move the American embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. But let me tell you something I want you to keep in mind. They won't try and stop a loser, folks, but they will try and stop a winner, and Donald Trump is winning for the United States of America. Now, I was so fortunate during the campaign. I got to come to Tennessee. I got to travel all across our great country. And you guys remember, at the beginning of the campaign, they didn't give Donald Trump a chance. He wasn't even going to make it past the primaries, remember? Well, you know what? They had no idea what Donald Trump was about to offer them, because even though our campaign had a lot fewer people working in it, although we spent a lot less money than our competitor, and although the media didn't give him credit, the pundits didn't give him credit, they said there was no path to victory for Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, we all remember that day, November 8th, 2016, don't we? You see, we knew that Donald Trump was going to win because we didn't need celebrities to hold concerts for us, because we had you, the American people, backing Donald Trump. So you see, that's why I get very upset when I hear all this nonsense about Russian collusion. It makes me very, very angry, and it should make you all angry too, because they're trying to tell you that your vote didn't count, folks. Let me tell you something. Your vote counted then. It's going to count in the midterms come November, and it sure as hell is counting in 2020 when we re-elect Donald J. Trump. I can't wait. Now, yesterday was a very special day in our country, Memorial Day. Do we have any veterans or active duty military here today? Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for your service. I thank God every day that we have the brave men and women in this country to keep us free, to keep us safe, because, folks, this is the greatest country in the world. Music to my ears, I love it. Now, before I go, I just have to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for believing in my father-in-law to lead this country. Thank you for the prayers that I know you pray for our president, for our family. We feel them. It means so much to us. And I have an 8-month-old son. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, because I am so grateful that I got to bring my son into a world where Donald Trump is our president. Thank you, Nashville. I love you.
One of the greatest things about being in Nashville, folks, is that we've got country music everywhere. Country music is the music that speaks to our soul and to our patriotism. And we have one of the best with us here tonight. So everybody sit back, relax, and let's welcome Mr. Trace Atkins.
got a corner lot on Dogwood Drive to a pretty white we do. He'll sleep in on Saturday, cut the grass if it don't rain. After church, he'll watch the game and have a beer or two. He'll stand up when he hears the anthem, and that won't ever change. 'Cause he's still a soldier, his blood runs red, white, and blue. He's put away his gun and boots, but he still believes the American breath will always be a soldier. He's on his couch for the news, it does too. Oh, he'd be on that red, white, and blue. He's put away his gun and boots, but he still believes he'll always be a soldier. Up anymore when he hears thunder. Oh, but he's put the American dream to his last a soldier. He's still a soldier. Best run differently, but you're not going to hear it done any better. And see y'all. So, the thing that in my career is work that I've done with veterans organizations. The answer to that question is very simple. This is where I'd set me and some other for a job well done. Inside he cried the day they came home and told my mom and dad we're proud of a piece of property and I can rest in peace that it brought me here when I was 8. We sounded this on the street to keep on the first day I came. Piece of property, and I can rest. We made it. Old friend of mine asked me if I'd do this next summer, and he's the president, so. In the city, in a little subdivision, or he wore a tie